Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy OG Den, back again with another review video. And today, we're going to be checking out the loaded Longboards Dervish Sama Flex 3 longboard deck. And we're going to be doing a full comprehensive review on everything on this board. The wheels, the ride feel, the price, is it worth it or not, all the different specs. Everything you could possibly want to know about the Dervish Sama, we're going to be covering in this video. So put your seatbelts on if you're in a car, take a seat, grab a drink of water, whatever you want, and get ready, because this is going to be a good one. Without me going on any farther, hit the subscribe button and let's get this review started. Alright, you guys, so I'm gonna have to be filming in my car today because it's super windy outside, but that's okay. We're still gonna get some cool shots for you guys to see that are outdoors. Just all the audio and voice recording is gonna be done in here. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna go over some of the quick info about the board, and then we're gonna talk about the things I like and the things that I don't really like about the board. And then at the end, we're gonna compare it to my other board, the loaded Tan Tien, which, as you guys may know, that's my main board that I use all the time. And it's a little shorter than this, but we're gonna talk about that later. And then I'm gonna give you my final thoughts at the very end. So sit down, grab a drink, get ready, here we go. So some quick info about the board. So this is the loaded Dervish Sama Flex 3 version of the Dervish Sama, which means that the weight limit is, I believe it's 90 to 150 pounds, which is what they recommend. Now obviously you don't have to fit in that bracket, you can be lighter or heavier. It's just that's what they recommend for optimal flex. And they also offer the Flex 2 and Flex 1 editions, which are for higher weight limits. Now I got this board on eBay.com for $150 complete, and it came with a Flex 3 deck, Orangatang 4 President wheels, 70mm, Paris trucks, and might I add, really cool Paris trucks. This is a pretty sick pattern, and Bones Red bearings. So the design of the deck, this is 42.8 inches or 109 centimeters in length. The width of it is 9 inches or 22.9 centimeters. So it's a fairly average, maybe a little above average deck size. My loaded Tan Tien's on the smaller side, it's 38 inches. So this is about 4 inches longer. And the weight of the deck is 3 to 3.6 pounds, depending on the hardware and whatnot you have on it. So it's not a light board, but it's also not a super heavy longboard. So it's kind of in the middle, probably a little bit above what you would normally expect. I carry this around and it's definitely doable for me, and I'm a pretty skinny guy, as you guys may know. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So let's get into a few things that I really like about this board and things that I think it's really good at. So first of all, the board size is quite large, like I mentioned, and that makes it really great for dancing and doing other sorts of tricks related to that, such as your footstep combinations, spinning, walking around the board, doing some flips here and there. It's really good for that stuff. So if you're really into dancing, this board is going to be perfect for you, especially if you like the loaded brand of boards. This one is hard to beat for dancing. So all loaded boards also come with a flexi bamboo fiberglass deck, and this one is no exception. It was actually the first one that they ever came out with that featured this, and now most of their decks actually incorporated this. And the flexi deck makes for a really smooth ride, and especially paired with the 70mm 4 President wheels, it is just superb, and it's a great cruising experience. You can go over really bumpy surfaces and honestly not feel that much vibrations with your feet. Now it may be a little loud depending on your setup, but even so, you're probably not going to feel those vibrations, and it's going to be a very smooth and pleasant ride on most surfaces. Another really thing that I like about this board and a lot of the loaded boards are the raised kicktails. So I don't know why a lot of longboards don't incorporate this, but on this board, as you can see, it's a drop-through construction, but the kicktails are raised just ever so slightly, which makes it so much better for any tricks that you need to pop the board up with the tail. Like, I don't understand why more board companies don't pursue this and do it, because it's just, like, I honestly wouldn't buy a board that doesn't have raised kicktails unless it was maybe an electric board, honestly. I just really enjoy the raised tails. So I'm definitely happy that they decided to add these to this board. Another thing I just kind of mentioned was the construction is drop through, which allows the board to be set lower to the ground, which means that you're going to feel more stable when riding it, and it's going to be easier for beginners to pick up and learn, rather than a top mount, which generally you feel a little more unstable and it takes a little getting used to figure it out, versus a drop through. So I really do like that as well. And another thing I like is the concave on this board. So the concave is quite minimal compared to some boards that I've owned, but it is definitely still there, which is good because it'll keep your feet locked in, but it's not overbearing, so when you want to do a lot of your dancing tricks, it doesn't get in the way. So again, that's why I really like this board for dancing and whatnot. It kind of fits the theme with the concave. So those are all kind of large points and things that I like. There's obviously a few minor other things I like, you know, the durability of the board, some of the hardware I have, but those are kind of the main things that we're going to touch on for the positives. And now, let's go over some things that I don't necessarily like about the board. Number one, it's heavy, but that's kind of a dislike for longboards in general. Most longboards are going to be kind of heavy. They're going to be on the heavier side. That's just how it is. So if you're okay with a heavier board, then get a longboard. It's fine. But if you're not okay with that and you want something really light, maybe consider something like a cruiser. You could check out my landyachtz Dinghy cruiser review that I did recently right over here, and that video is actually popping off and it's doing really well, so I guess people like it. But check that out if you're looking for a board that's maybe on the lighter side. If that doesn't bother you, maybe the next thing will. This board in particular is not the greatest at turning, unless you have the trucks really loose. So because of it's so long, it just can't turn corners as sharply as some other shorter boards can. Now, there are a few fixes to this though. So number one, loosen the trucks. Looser trucks will obviously be able to turn tighter, but you'll lose more stability. And number two, wear slide gloves. If you wear slide gloves, you can put your hand on the ground and turn the board super sharply and not have to worry about falling off of it, and then you can turn sharper, I guess. Yeah, I actually have a pair of slide gloves by Sector 9, which I'll be reviewing in the coming weeks. So I'll link that in the description of this video once it's out. Now, one of the biggest things that I don't necessarily like about this board is with the pop and the tricks you do with the pop. So because it's a longer board, the pop tricks are going to be a little different. When you pop the board, because it's so long, it's going to kind of move slower almost than the shorter boards. If you've ever ridden short and long boards, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But when you pop it, and let's say you're doing a grab trick like a tiger claw or something, it just takes a little bit longer for the board to pop up, for you to grab it and to spin around than it would a shorter board. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it definitely takes some getting used to, and a few of those tricks can be more difficult because the board is longer, so you have to time it a little bit differently, and maybe that's more of a me problem because I'm used to shorter boards, but definitely something that you guys should note, if anything. Another thing that could potentially be a downside would be the Flex 3 variant of this board is very, very flexy. I weigh about 135 pounds, maybe 140, somewhere around that. And the max for this board is 150, so I'm kind of at the upper threshold, and it is very flexy and very bouncy, and this can be good for some things. It can be really good if you're really into pumping your board and you like doing stuff like that, but also some people might think that it's a little too flexy because it's really flexy. Like, even just pushing the board, you'll feel it dip down. So if you want to fix this, maybe get a flex variant that's a little bit higher than your weight limit. So for me, I'd probably get a Flex 2 or something. Maybe you'd want to get a Flex 1 depending on your weight. Definitely check out those weight brackets on their website. They have them all listed there for each board. But yeah, definitely something to consider. The last thing, and this kind of goes with a lot of longboards, is the durability of the tails. If you're going to be doing a lot of tricks on your board that involve popping the tail, they're going to wear down. If you want to fix this, definitely get some sort of tail guard for your board, and also definitely check out the last video that I made about tail guards, because there are some tail guards that are made better than others, and you're going to want to check that video out. I'll link it right here, just in case you're thinking about buying the one and you want to make sure you get a good one that fits the needs that you want it to fit. Okay, final bad thing about the board, the grip tape. It's fine, but if you're planning on using this as a dancer board, it'll work, but I tend to prefer dancer boards with grip tape that's only around the very edges of the board and the tail areas. I like to have the middle of the board free of grip tape just because then when you're doing spin tricks, it's easier for your feet to spin rather than get caught on the grip tape and kind of wear down your shoes and be harder to perform. Yeah, this board, there's just a tiny hole in the center just where it says loaded, and that doesn't really help much at all. I kind of wish the grip tape was a little bit less around the inside so that we wouldn't have to be having this discussion, but it's kind of a minor dislike and I definitely can get by with how it is. So those are kind of all of my likes and dislikes about the board. Now let's briefly compare it with the Tan Tien board. The Tan Tien board is 4 inches shorter, and I believe it's about as wide, maybe a little bit less wide, I'm not sure. Here's the thing, the Tan Tien actually, when you're going around cruising and stuff, I think it's a little bit faster than the Dervish Sama because it's a little bit lighter and it's a smaller profile, so you're gonna get higher speeds with it. So if you're looking to do a lot of cruising and cruising only without any tricks or dancing, the Tan Tien can go a little faster if that's what you're looking for. Now the Dervish Sama is better at pumping than the Tan Tien, so if you're looking to do pumping while you're carving, maybe consider the Dervish Sama over the Tan Tien. They're honestly pretty similar boards because their shape and design are pretty much similar. It's just the Tan Tien's a little bit smaller. So if you're looking for one that has a smaller footprint, Tan Tien's about 38 inches, maybe check that one out. I also have a review video on that, so if you want to check the review on that, go ahead. I'll link it right here just like I've linked the other ones. Yeah, those are kind of the only differences. They're honestly really similar. I think the Tan Tien flexes a little bit less too, so if you want one that's a little less flexy, check that one out. But all in all, they're very similar boards. They're both very good, and I would recommend the Tan Tien more if you're into doing a lot of technical tricks or cruising, and I would recommend the Dervish Sama if you're more into doing cruising and dancing. Just personal preference. So yeah, would I recommend the Dervish Sama? Definitely would. I got mine for $150 on eBay, which is an insanely good deal. If you can find anything similar to that, I would definitely recommend checking it out. And don't be afraid to buy your boards used. I bought 2 used loaded longboards on eBay, and I haven't had any problems with them, and they work perfectly fine. So if you want to save some money, check out the used market. They're pretty much exactly the same as the new ones, and I mean, your new ones are going to get scratched up anyways, so who cares if there's a little mark on the used one or not. Just my 2 cents on the whole thing. But that's pretty much all I got for the talking, and thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe if you like the review and you want to see more videos like this. Hit the like button for the same reasons, I guess. Leave a comment if you have any questions, you want me to recommend anything, you have problems, whatnot. I answer pretty much any concerns, questions you guys have, and I try to leave as much feedback as I can. So definitely drop something if you have any questions or concerns, or if you just want to leave a positive comment, I mean, go ahead. Or if you want to leave a negative comment, that's fine too, whatever you want. And with all that out of the way, I'll see you guys in the next video, which is going to be on Saturday, because I post every Wednesday and Saturday. So let's go.